And we are back for another episode of the Rebellion Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Staker. All right, what I'm going to talk about today is not UNLV basketball. Shocking, I know. So, I started a UNLV podcast originally with the mindset I was going to talk about other things, not just UNLV basketball. I was going to talk about the Aces, maybe some Golden Knights, UNLV football. But then I realized, I just don't have enough confidence to talk about those other things. Basketball is my sport. It's my wheelhouse. I played at a high level. I coached at a high level. It is. I'm confident breaking down basketball in depth, right? So that's why I haven't really been doing episodes for other sports. That being said, oh my Lord, what is going on with UNLV football? My mind is. I'm losing my mind over this shit. I can't even. I'm on cloud nine with excitement over this team, right? So I went to UNLV football games my whole life, just like basketball, but it was always much different. The expectations were nowhere near the same. With basketball, we always had the expectations of, a power conference team, even if we didn't always meet those expectations. But that was the expectations. The Thomas and Mack had the environment to it, the attendance we get, the facilities, everything evolved around the program, our history. We had high expectations for UNLV basketball, but that wasn't the case with UNLV football. UNLV football has never been good. My entire life, all I have memories of UNLV football is just losing and embarrassment and going to the shitty Sam Boyd Stadium, which is like a JV stadium compared to a real football school, right? It was fun going to those games, tailgating out in the grass, having some beers, throwing the football around, barbecuing. It was a blast. That I miss. That's the only thing I miss about old previous UNLV football, right? So, but I've always mainly been all about basketball. I started watching football a lot closer around my later years in high school, junior year, senior year, because I got so into the Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, USC Trojans. And that was the first time I actually started watching football, because before that, I only cared about basketball, right? And then, over the last decade or so, I still watch football all the time. I love the sport. I think it's an awesome sport. But it wasn't until, we'll back up for a sec. We got the Raiders, and then I was really excited to get a pro team, so I was all in on the Raiders. And unfortunately I've been stressed out a lot watching the Raiders because it's the Raiders. But it all started just soaring to a new level, soaring to new heights in my fandom and my excitement towards this sport that isn't basketball, when UNLV football hired Barry Odom, and actually we were good. We had a good football team. I've never been able to say we have a good football team at UNLV, ever. If we had a season where we won 6 wins and got to a bowl game, it was a success. It was a successful season. That was always the goal. And then last year's team, it started off in the beginning of the season, we're all right, this might be a bowl team. They look kind of good the first few games. And then it seemed like we were just kept winning, and we kept just looking better and better. And with that, the excitement just kept getting higher and higher. I was like, this is so fun. We've never been good. And now look at us. And then we got all the way to 9-2 record. At this point, I'm starting to think ranking. I'm starting to think, we're going to be in some big bowl game possibly. And then we got our butts handed to us by San Jose State and Boise State. San Jose State game was winnable. We were just too far behind, and it was too difficult to come back, even though we almost did. And then Boise State in the Mountain West Conference Championship game, they just kicked the crap out of us. And it was very clear after that game, we're just not at that level yet. We have an exciting offense. We can put up a lot of points, but our defense was just not on par with an actual good football program, right? And then we played Kansas in the bowl game. it was starting to look like we were going to get blown off the field and lose by 40, 50 points. And then we got hot and like started putting up some points. Inevitably, though, at the end of the game, we were never at Kansas's level. They were clearly the better team, and they showed it. But even after losing those last 3 games of the season, which sucked and was a little depressing, I was still like, that was a lot of fun. I mean, even with that happening, we could say that was the best team we've had, at least in my entire lifetime, but probably ever in UNLV football history. Okay, so then after that, it was like, where do we go from here? All right. A little side note. I think football is the most stressful sport to watch when you're a diehard fan. It's the most stressful. Hockey's very stressful. Basketball is very stressful. But football is just, God, like just how after every single play, you're like on pins and needles to see if there's a flag or how quickly you could a call could be reversed and some huge play that's devastating could happen. And you're just like, it plays with your emotions. It's just this roller coaster of emotions. It's the biggest buzzkill sport. And what I mean by that is there's no other sport you can go from that big of a high to that big of a low in just snap of your fingers. Okay, like UNLV makes a big 50, 60-yard play and everyone's cheering and excited, and then all of a sudden holding, and you're just like, you just want to like throw your drink. You're so pissed, right? It's football stresses me out so bad. All right, I just wanted to go on that little side note rant right there. I love it, but God, football really is taking years off my life. So, all right, so we had a good season last season, and then going into the off season, there was a lot of reason to be optimistic because there was a lot of really good players returning. So I felt even more excited about the team we were going to have the year following that, which is our current season, right? We unfortunately had a pretty good player leave our team and transfer to USC, our Jaden Mavia, our quarterback. And that was during a time where I was damn near close to quitting college sports. The NIL thing has just completely drove me nuts. I totally get why it started. Universities were making millions and millions of dollars off of these kids. These kids are the ones that people are coming to watch. These kids are the reason you're making so much money. I understood why they started it. I did call this, though. I was like, there's going to be a lot of problems with it. And there needs to be some regulations, strict rules, something set in place, a cap. I don't know. And there has been none of that, and it's just been a complete shit show, to say the least. So, yeah. So, basically, we lose our star freshman quarterback to USC because they offer money that we can't compete with. And then rumors started going around that we were about to lose DJ Thomas for the same reason. And I was like, I was so just mad, depressed, like just ranting to everyone about how much I hate NIL. And it was, it wasn't a good time. But thankfully, DJ Thomas said, no, I'm coming back. And I was like, whew, could just exhale, right? So other than losing Jaden Mavia, which sucked because he was very good, we retained pretty much all of our best players. And then we did really well in the transfer portal. I was super into UNLV football recruiting, which I'd never been into before, right? We just kept getting players that transfer from, Power 5 conferences who actually played there. It wasn't just like they sat the bench there and now they're transferring because they want to get some playing time. No, we were getting transfers that were really good players that actually played at their previous schools. And so, and the vast majority of them were defensive players because defense was our weakness last season, right? So we went out and addressed that in the transfer portal, and we got just a lot of good players, and it was exciting, right? And then we brought in 2 really good quarterbacks, okay, from the FCS level, and Haj Malik Williams and Matthew Sluka. So I was like, all right, cool. One of those guys is going to kill it in the preseason and spring ball, and they're gonna be a good quarterback for us. So there was a lot of reason to be optimistic. Now going into the season, how good did I think we were going to be? I I truly believed we were going to be better than the previous year, just from like just using common sense of we upgraded talent on defense. Okay, unless both the quarterbacks we brought in weren't going to be any good, I knew we should be a better team just because look the talent upgrade on defense was substantial, right? And then we still have our go-go offense. We're still going to be good offensively, right? So I was very optimistic going into the season, but that brutal schedule that came out, I was like, dang, I was hoping like 7 or 8 wins. Like 7, I'd be okay with again because of the difficulty of the schedule. Eight, I would have been happy. I'm like, all right, we have a really good football team to win 8 games with this ridiculous schedule. All right, and then to go over the first few games just real quick, Houston, we were underdogs in that game. I wanted to win the game so bad. I wanted to start the season off on a high note. I wanted to go to Allegiant the following weekend to watch the Utah Tech game, knowing we're 1-0, knowing there's some buzz around this team that we just beat an SEC team on the road. And what happened? We manhandled them. We were this close to a shutout. Should have been 27-0. And we should have actually had more than 27 points in that game. We just threw some interceptions, some bad plays, some bad passes that Haj Malik Williams would not have thrown. But we're not going to talk about that right now. So, yeah, kicked the crap out of Houston. Very, very exciting. Utah Tech, we were expected to blow them out, and we did. I was at the game. It was a lot of fun. It's relax. I love blowout games against bad teams just for the simple fact that I can just relax and not stress and just have fun, enjoy beautiful Allegiant Stadium, have a couple beers, hang out with my buddies. I love it. Those types of games are boring for other fans. For me, I love them, okay? Because I just get too damn stressed watching my teams. Okay, so then here came the big Kansas game. Kansas, before losing to Illinois, they were ranked, I believe, 19th in the country. Or maybe it was higher than that. Maybe it was like 16th. I don't know. They were ranked pretty high. My gut feeling was we were going to lose that game. It's just a talented team. It's in Kansas. I thought we would play them really tough, but my gut says we weren't going to come out on top. And then anyone that watches the game knows it was, we started off getting our butts kicked, and I'm like, here we go, fun's over, back to reality. And then we figured out a way to win that game. We got very lucky with Sluka's fumbles, like ended up getting that back, even though it bounced by like 8 different Kansas players. We got very lucky. We escaped that game with a W. Very easily could have lost. But even though we were 3-0 and we had just beaten a good Big 12 team, well, at the time I thought they were good. Now they're 1-4, so who knows? But even though we had just won a really exciting game and we were undefeated, I actually felt less confident about our ceiling as a team after the game. Because, and I'm not saying this just knowing what would end up happening, okay? So I'm being completely honest with you. Sluka threw a lot of bad passes in that game, and our offense looked pretty bad at times. It was the first time I've seen our offense look bad since before Odom got there. Like, we just couldn't get anything going. And then we pulled out the win, but I was less optimistic about what our ceiling was as a team after that game. I was like, all right, we're a good team. We upgraded our talent. We were very good defensively, but I don't think because of our offense, I think if we go against a really good defensive team, I don't think we're going to be able to score. Therefore, I didn't feel like we were a legitimate top 25 team. I think we were a legitimate top 40 team, but I just didn't. I wasn't as high on us after that Kansas game, which is weird because we won the game. But you saw a lot of weaknesses in our offense that game. So, okay, so yeah, win that game. We're in a bye week, so I get to enjoy being 3-0 for 2 weeks. I was excited. We got ranked in the coaches poll, first time in school history, and I made a cake. I told everyone, I'm like, if UNLV gets ranked, I'm going to make a cake. And they're like, oh, okay. But they thought I was just talking BS, but I did actually make a cake. I made a red velvet cake with red frosting to celebrate being ranked. And then we had some pretty massive news drop about 5-6 days before the Fresno State game. Our star quarterback, our leader, Matthew Sluka quits the team over an NIL-related issue. I have nothing in front of me. I have no notes. I have nothing prepared. So everything I'm saying right now is just strictly off the top of my head. So I'm not going to quote what he said in basically his tweet where he quit the team, because I don't have it in front of me. I'm not going to try and remember it. But that's what happened, right? There was some dispute over NIL money that led to him taking his redshirt year, quitting the team. He's going to sign with another school to play next year, okay? My initial reaction was depressed as F. I was so depressed. Not because I thought our season's over, we're not going to be good now, because I knew Haj Malik Williams was really good. I knew Cameron Friel was really good. It wasn't that. It was just like, it's the most UNLV thing ever that our starting quarterback on a really good team quits the team after 3 games. It's like, really? This really happened? And then after that, the backlash or everything that came from that situation nationally with the media and everyone talking. UNLV has never been in the media more than that, I think, maybe ever, right? And so there was a lot of debate on it. Was a lot of, which side do you take? Sluka's side is saying this, UNLV's saying this, and I was just livid and just upset and depressed at the whole situation. But the more I looked into it, and yes, obviously I'm biased. Obviously, I'm admitting that. But I am not siding with Sluka. I think he quit on his team. He quit on his brothers, which you don't do as an athlete. What I believe happened is someone got in his ear because our stock was high and said, you need to demand more money, because if another school will pay it if they don't. All right. Now, what Sluka's camp is saying is the assistant coach for UNLV promised him $100K, and then they never lived up to that bargain. Kind of like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what do you mean? You said you were what? So they're like, you know what? Fine. You're not going to live up to your promise. I'm leaving. I'm gone. So if that is in fact true, then you can't, I understand where he's coming from. I understand him sticking his ground and leaving the team. I think if that is true, then very bad look for UNLV, very bad look for the coaching staff. It kind of looks like you're just exploiting players by lying to them. And this is what other people believe, that they did that. I don't believe it. What I think happened is UNLV got the hot 3-0 start. Sluka was the starting quarterback for a nationally ranked team. Someone got in his ear and said, you need to be paid more money, because if UNLV doesn't pay you, another school will. So then he went and he demanded more money, which was a pay-for-play violation. And UNLV said, screw you. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. That is what I truly believe happened. I've heard from people very close to this program, very close to this university, who know the coaching staff, who know the players on the team, who know the ins and outs of everything that happens within this program. And they also believe that what Sluka is saying is BS. Okay? And what makes all this so much more frustrating is when the media gets a hold of a story and they have a narrative, they have to stick to that narrative. Okay? They have to have a team that they side with. And unfortunately for UNLV, there's a lot of people out there who decided when all this player exploitation stuff started that they are pro-player. They are going to take the player's side despite the fact that there is no evidence for it. They are automatically going to believe the player in this situation. All that happened was Sluka tweeted something out, and his dad said, yep, they offered him money, and when we tried to get the money, they act like that conversation never happened. So now UNLV is being villainized in the media. People that cover college sports, people that are podcasting, or anyone involved with any type of sports media covering this issue, saying, "How dare UNLV? I am disgusted." Completely lying to players to get them to sign there. They don't have any evidence whatsoever that this happened. And it's a shame. It's a shame to see people out there throwing UNLV under the bus when they have no clue what actually happened. And it's very frustrating to see. What it comes down to is, if he was actually offered $100K by some mysterious assistant coach, common sense says you get that in writing. You address that before the season starts. If you aren't getting paid the money that you were told you were going to get, you don't wait till 3 games into the season to be like, "Hey, what happened with that money?" No. This all needs to be sorted out before you play a single snap in an actual game. Common freaking sense. And anyone that has common sense are saying, like, all right, maybe they're not siding with UNLV necessarily, but they're not siding with Sluka either. They're just saying it's a sticky situation. But the people that are 100% siding with Sluka, they're not thinking clearly, right? They're just making assumptions based on no merit, based on zero evidence. And it's very frustrating as a UNLV fan to see them villainized like this in the media. All right, as far as everything goes regarding the conference alignment stuff, I have gone back and forth on this a lot, admittedly, right? So my initial reaction when we turned down the offer to the Pac-12 was, what? Why? What are you thinking? Okay. And then it changed when I learned how much money we were getting. I was like, okay, cool. This money can go towards retaining Odom. It can go towards NIL. It can go towards retaining Kevin Kruger if we have a big season, the season I'm predicting we will have. So the money's really good. And there was a stipulation that allows us to join a power conference in the future. So it's not like, there will be a violation if in the future we're looking at going into a bigger conference. So I was all in on staying in the Mountain West. But things changed so quickly that I don't know. Originally, I was like, this new Pac-12 isn't even a power conference. They're just the Mountain West with Oregon State and Washington State, 2 bottom feeders in the Pac-12 for many years. So I was like, what is so appealing about that conference when it comes to turning down the kind of money we're getting? We're $21 million in debt is what I'm hearing. So, obviously Harper made a business decision by staying in the Mountain West. Then my mindset changed when Gonzaga joined the Pac-12. Now I was like, damn, they just became a really good basketball conference. And I would love to be in a conference with Boise, San Diego State, and Gonzaga in terms of basketball. So now I'm back to like, shoot, man, maybe I think I would rather be in the Pac. At the end of the day, no one knows more than our athletic director on really what's going on within the program, our athletic department, our financial issues. I guess I'm kind of just putting my hope that he knows what he's doing, because I don't know. I think about all the money we're getting from staying in the Mountain West, and I'm like, is it really worth it? Because I got to think, like, couldn't we get a lucrative TV deal with the Pac-12 that might end up being more than the buyout money for leaving the Mountain West? Like, is it going to be a better financial decision long term? I don't know. But, at the end of the day, I'm going to just hope and wait and see. Hopefully we can dominate this conference, kind of similar to what Jerry Tarkanian did. He dominated a weak conference, scheduled really good non-conference opponents, and maybe we can do that. And if UNLV basketball gets back to where it should be, and UNLV football continues down this path, which if this money goes towards NIL and keeping Odom, there's no reason to think that we can't remain a legitimate top 30, top 35 program. If that's the case, then I do think inevitably we will end up in a bigger conference someday, though not everybody shares that opinion. And I look at the new Mountain West, and we're adding UTEP, which is solid, and then Tarleton State. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Never even heard of them. Then I go back to I think the Pac-12 would have been more exciting for this program, but we shall see with that. All right, the Fresno State game. I was so nervous about this game for so many reasons. I was so nervous. I wanted to win so bad after Sluka quitting the team on us, after all the crap other fans were talking about us, about we aren't elite enough to get into the new Pac-12, or, they're taking Sluka's side in that whole situation. We're a joke of a program. A lot of Fresno State fans were talking crap, saying we're not going to be able to do anything against their defense. We're a joke of a program, just a lot of trash talk. Okay, so with all of that, and the fact that I obviously want to keep our undefeated record going, I just wanted to win this game so freaking bad. I was like, please, let us win this game. And I thought it was going to be a really close game. I thought Fresno State was very good. They competed with Michigan. They did very, very well against Michigan. And then they kicked the crap out of the other teams they played. So I was scared for this game. And we were only 2.5-point favorites at home. So I did not see what would end up happening. We blew them out of the freaking stadium. We absolutely destroyed and embarrassed these guys. We moved the ball so easily, it felt like we were playing an FCS school. It felt like we were playing Utah Tech again. And I'm not even exaggerating. We scored 59 points, and that was with 2 touchdowns that were taken away pretty much. Okay? We had the 1 touchdown taken away where our big guy picked up the fumble and ran it all the way to the end of the field for a touchdown. And then they called some dumb penalty, and then which resulted in Fresno State getting a first and goal and scoring a touchdown. Also, we were 4th and inches, which should have been an easy touchdown, and then Haj Malik tripped or something, and we didn't get in. I was shocked, but that's another play that we should have scored. But we dominated them so badly, and Haj Malik killed it. He was amazing. Every single time he had the ball, if it looked like he was about to get sacked, he was able to avoid it and then go run for 10 or 15 yards. Or he would throw a very accurate pass. It is clear that he is a better passer than Matthew Sluka. That is obvious just after one game. Every pass Haj Malik threw was a very well-thrown pass that went right to the player, which they either caught it or they should have caught it, right? I will say I do think Sluka is a better runner than Haj Malik Williams, but not by a lot. I think Sluka's very good at breaking tackles, and so he's kind of like a running back playing quarterback. So I do think he's a better runner than Haj Malik Williams. But overall, Haj Malik Williams is the better player, and it's not just me that thinks that. I was on the radio. I wasn't on the radio. I was listening to the radio, and the guys talking were saying, clearly Haj Malik Williams is the better quarterback. Why wasn't he starting this whole time? And then there's other guys saying that before the season, they said Haj Malik Williams will probably start because they went to all the practices and he's better. So it begs the question, why was Sluka starting in the first place? The only theory I have is when they were recruiting him, maybe they promised him the starting job. That's the only reason I can come up with. Because that's pretty common in college sports when you really want someone to promise them playing time. Because a lot of schools won't ever promise playing time, so that may give you an advantage. If I promise you will start, you will be the guy if you come to our school. That's the only thing I can think of, because everyone else is saying Haj Malik Williams was the better player in the offseason or in the preseason, in spring ball. He was the better player. He connected well with the other players. So I wish he would have been starting from day one, because who knows? Maybe if he was, we beat Houston, 40-something to 7, and then Utah Tech probably would have been close to the same result. And then maybe we beat Kansas by, 14, 15 points. Who knows if Haj Malik was a starter this whole time. So I can't even put into words how satisfied I am right now, how satisfied and elated and excited I was after the Fresno game, knowing that Haj Malik Williams took the place of a quitter, the guy that abandoned his brothers. He took his place, became the new QB1, and clearly outperformed him. Clearly. Not even close. So I'm so excited. My thought towards the team and our potential have risen substantially now. I think we are a legit top 20 team. Legit. Now, we'll revisit this after the Syracuse game because, who knows? Maybe Haj Malik Williams has a bad game 3 out of the next 4 games, and then we're like, all right, well, okay, now I get why Sluka got the starting job. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's the real deal. I think his teammates love him. I'm just so excited. 2 players I want to talk about real quick, and then I'll wrap this up. First is Jackson Woodard. My God, I love that guy. He's so fun to watch. The way he communicates out on the field, all the big plays he makes, the athleticism, the blocking. He blocked a guy when the big guy was running to go get the touchdown after the fumble. That's what I was referring to, the blocking. But just his interviews, how well-spoken he is. Just such a good player. So lucky to have him on our team. And then Ricky White, my favorite Rebel ever. He's going to be an NFL player. He's one of the best players in all of college football. And I'm so happy now that we have Haj Malik Williams at quarterback because now Ricky White is going to get involved again. He got targeted so many times against Fresno State. And because of it, he made so many big plays. So he's back because 2 of the first 3 games when we had Matthew Sluka against the 2 Big 12 teams, Ricky White had no stats. He didn't do anything because the ball wasn't thrown to him. So, I don't know. I'm on top of the world now. We have a great coach. We have a great team. Not a good team. We have a great team. We, along with Boise, are one of the favorites to make the college football playoff. At this point, I don't believe we're going to lose to Syracuse. I would be shocked if we lost to Syracuse. Not because Syracuse isn't good, just because I think we're better and we're at home. Oregon State's a game that scares me. It's on the road. Oregon State's talented. They're a pretty good football team. Boise State, of course, that will be a very, very difficult game to win. But I think running the table is actual possibility. But to make that college football playoff, I think no matter what, we have to win the Mountain West Conference Championship game. I think if we lose to Boise in a few weeks, but then beat them in the Mountain West Conference Championship game, then I think we would most likely be in the college football playoff. So, which is just crazy to say. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. Never been more excited in my life, not just to be a UNLV football fan, but just to be anything football related. I've never been this excited. And I loved making this episode, and can't wait for the rest of the season. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.